Hey, it's the Wednesday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Hello, all you weather geeks out there. Some interesting stats to talk about this evening because the weather isn't terribly interesting. I mentioned on the news tonight that tomorrow begins our slide back to January in terms of our average high temperatures. So our peak in the summertime is 82. We have that peak of an average high of 82 for a couple of weeks, and then starting tomorrow, it's 81, and it's 81 for a while, and then it'll start to accelerate that downward trend. Here's a graph showing that. Here's the red right here. We're in the middle of July, of course, and by tomorrow, the 23rd, 81.5, technically speaking, is our average high. And so once it goes below that, uh, during the next couple of days, yeah, it rounds down to 81, and that's our average high. The of course the bottom of this graph, if I can scroll over, comes in January when we bottom out at about 32 for our average high. That's the low mark. And then it does start to creep back up, of course, at the very end of January, starting around January 23rd. Our average high goes back up to 33. It's nice and symmetrical, exactly 6 months between our average low being at its lowest point and our average high being at its highest point. So it's all downhill from here. Not to be Debbie Downer on you this evening, but just thought that was kind of interesting. Here's our July forecast that we put out as far as temperatures for actually the entire country. Back on the first day of the month, we talked about how this month is likely to be pretty close to average here in Youngstown, right here on the edge of this kind of blue blob of below average. Well, certainly today was a below average day, and here's what the month looks like so far, through this morning anyway. As you can see, there's a lot of blue where our forecast was out here in the Midwest, and some red, some above average down in the southeast and up in the northwest. Overall, forecast was not too bad, it looks like, at this point. Now, we are heading into a warmer than average pattern that'll take us through the end of the month, so it'll be interesting to see if our deficits, we're about a degree below average right now, if that gets wiped out by the end of the month, and we in fact end up with a pretty typical July temperature-wise. We're already above average precipitation-wise with exactly 4 inches worth of rain this month. Well, not much going on out there this evening. Of course, it was a fantastic day today. We've had some clouds around, yes, but also some sunshine for much of the day and very, very comfortable conditions. Notice we still have a few fair weather clouds around tonight. It won't be perfectly clear tonight, but certainly a pleasant evening to get outdoors. It's 72 here in the 7 o'clock hour. Dew points are way down, of course, in the lower 50s. A nice treat for this time of the year. Where's the high dew point area? Well, it's bottled up in the south. Notice how far south the drier air has penetrated all the way down into parts of the Carolinas this evening. So again, this is kind of an unusually dry and cool air mass for the month of July. And hey, we'll take it. I'm not a big fan of the heat and humidity myself, so this is just fine. The 90s are bottled up down in the south as well. As you would expect, it's hot out in the deserts. Overall, aside from the cool weather around the Great Lakes in the northeast, it's a pretty typical map for mid to late July across the country this evening. Well, we are going to stay dry for a few more days, right through Saturday. In fact, I'm just going to skip ahead to Sunday, talk about this next week system heading our way on Sunday. Here's the latest GFS on Sunday, not showing much. It's showing, maybe a little bit of rain here Sunday morning, and then actually, if you take this literally, it will dry out Sunday afternoon. Not sure if that's the right idea. So the bottom line for Sunday is, don't cancel the outdoor plans. We've only got about a 30% chance of measurable precipitation in your individual location on our Sunday. So, a lot of us may miss this, and if you miss the rain Sunday, I doubt it rains Monday, although some of the modeling has slowed down the front a little bit. But under the assumption that we stay dry Monday and Tuesday of next week, some of us could make this 7 days in a row of dry weather. Been a long time since we've been able to say that. The models for the middle of next week are definitely trending towards a midweek system that could bring us some showers and storms. Here's next Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, yeah, maybe we start to see some scattered showers and storms somewhere around the region. That's the surface. I want to show you the upper levels real quick here, not to spend a lot of time on this, but show you the overall pattern for next week. Here's at 18,000 feet up in the air. We have our big ridge centered out here over Texas, pretty typical of the season. Trough just off the East Coast, and then you've got some subtle ridging going on across the Great Lakes again. So all the heat that's building out here will have no problems coming east. Now, we're not going to get into the core of the heat. We're not going to see 100. But we're going to be on the fringes of this hot dome, and so we've got a good shot, I think, at seeing the upper 80s during the at least the first half of next week. Here's the 16-day temperature trend on the GFS ensemble, showing our warmth definitely building towards the weekend. I think we're around 86 this weekend, both days on average. Some may do a little better than that. And then early next week, a lot of middle and upper 80s, and this could be underdone even a little bit. I could see 88 for a couple of days next week. Now, does the pattern favor a couple of 90-degree days? Not necessarily, but we're splitting hairs. 90 is kind of a magic number, especially since we haven't hit it in almost 2 years. But honestly, is there much difference between 88 and 90 when there's high humidity? Well, not really. So it's going to be steamy early next week. And in the longer range, you're not seeing a lot of big cool downs here on the model. You're going to see a lot of pretty typical late July and early August weather. So summer off to a slow start with the damp weather and some below average temperatures, but next couple of weeks, we're right in the heart of prime time summer weather here across the Mahoning and Shenango Valley. We might not have much extreme heat like we did 4 years ago today. By the way, 4 years ago today was 98 degrees. I really don't think we're going to see that this season. Pattern just isn't favorable for that, but a lot of pretty typical summer stuff coming our way for the next couple of weeks. Well, thank you, as always, for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. Another edition posted tomorrow evening, and I look forward to seeing you on the news tonight. 21 News at 11 o'clock. If you're an early riser, check out Jess's updated forecast tomorrow morning starting at 5 a.m.